So while I'm doing this, my name is Johanna Fannin, and I want to thank Marie for inviting me here to speak today about college planning and financial aid and all that kind of stuff. And how I got involved in all this was 7 years ago now, I can't believe it. My son, who was ballet dancer, professional ballet dancer, and I hear we have a ballet family here. Okay. So what a fun world, huh? Yeah. And he was actually in New York dancing, and called me up one day and said, "Mom, I think I'm done with my dance career." He had danced ever since he was 13 years old, which is actually late for a ballet dancer, right? But as a male, you know, you can get away with that. And you certainly can if you're a girl. But anyway, he shared with me that a lot of his friends were in New York because they were dancing. Some were going to Juilliard, some were going, you know, to some dance companies. And so he shared with me that he found a college, it was called the New School, and they had a dance department. He went and toured the school. He had some friends from LACSA, which is where he went, Los Angeles County High School of the Arts. And he just thought it was going to be a really good fit, and he's been thinking about it for a while, but he decided he wanted to get his degree. He had been taking classes online. When he was here, he had done some classes at PCC, and you know, so he had some college experience, but really wanted to kind of dive into the 4-year experience. And so he calls me, and it's late at night, and he says, "Mom, I really want to go, but there's one thing, and I've been holding off on telling you this." And I said, "Well, what is it?" And it sounds like it's perfect. And of course, I was thrilled because I thought, you know, I wanted him to get that 4-year degree. I love the fact that he danced. I was that dance mom that was, you know, at the Nutcracker 10, 12 times, did backstage, but, you know, I was not very good backstage. But you know, I was there for every performance and every rehearsal and everything, so I loved it. But I also knew in my heart that if I was honest with myself, that I knew that it was going to be a wonderful career for him because he was following his passion. But there could be an end to that career if he got injured, or, you know, I was worried a little bit about how he'd sustain his lifestyle. So he shared that with me, and I said, you know, wow, that's expensive, when he shared that it was $60,000 a year. But he was in New York, and I wasn't going to have a meltdown on the phone because I thought that wasn't appropriate. And I said, you know what, let's talk about it when you come home next week, and we'll see what we can do. You know, we'll just check it out. We'll start doing some research. So I got off the phone, and the first thing, my first go-to is God for me. And so I started praying, and I said, "Oh Lord, what do we do with this one?" My second go-to is cleaning my house. So I got the Windex out, and I started to just start cleaning frantically because that's how I use my nervous energy. And you know, I just kept on noodling in my mind, how would we do this? Because there was one thing that I knew for sure: I was not going to say no. But my husband was upstairs sleeping, and I thought, he'll say no, but I'm not going to say no. So what do we do? So I was thinking about, it was 2009, and I was thinking about the equity that we could use in our home, and I thought, well, wait a second, we don't have that equity anymore. And then I started thinking about the money we had saved, you know, for emergencies and, you know, the kids' education. I have 2 other kids, and he was my youngest. And I said, well, that's not there anymore either. So then I started thinking of like retirement and things like that, and I thought, my husband is never going to go for that. An article caught the corner of my eye, and it was How to Afford College Without Going Broke. It was a college workshop by some guy named Brian Zaptori. So I'm like, well, you know what? This is interesting. Is this like a godsend or what? So I pulled it out and I read it, and it was How to Afford College Without Going Broke. And I thought, well, I feel very broke at this moment, and I would like to know how to afford this college. And so my son and I went the following weekend. Brian Zaptori, the owner of the company, spoke. We were in a room like this, and through the illustrations of the workshop, which is what you'll see today and why I'm standing here today, because I'm passionate about promoting this information to parents, is that comparatively speaking, when you look at different colleges, there is always a way, but you have to understand how the system works. That day we were shown how a private university could be less expensive than a state college or another route. And it might very well be possible that we wouldn't have to pay $60,000 a year, but that it could be affordable. So we ended up joining his team as one of his families. And long story short, Patrick graduates with his master's degree in May from, he's still in New York, went to the new school, $60,000 a year. We didn't pay $60,000 a year. He got a great award package. His dance helped him. Oh, is this our dancer here?
Well, my son is
Your son, okay.
Is the professional ballet dancer.
Oh, okay.
But all my kids dance.
All your kids dance, yeah. So, when we have students that have a certain discipline or art, that it does look favorable to the colleges. And what I know now that I didn't know back then was it was a perfect fit college, which is what we do at College Planning Experts, is we help to position your student to the perfect fit college, because they will want your student just as much as your student wants to get in. And so that was one of the advantages. And so he ended up going and went straight on to get his master's. And like I said, he graduates in May. So I have a beautiful story to share. I jumped on board 5 years ago because it was my passion, and I feel my ministry, to get this workshop out to you, to teach you those things that we just don't know as parents about the system. Whether you're born in this country or not, we were having that conversation. There is a system to the financial aid process. There is a system to college. There's many ways to get to college. You guys all come from a homeschool or charter experience, and so there's lots of different ways than when we went to college. And one of the challenges as parents is that we think it operates on the same mode that it did when we went to college, and that's very far from the truth. It's actually very competitive, and we'll talk a little bit about that today. And we need to be a little bit more savvy about the system, and we don't want to be wasting any money, because most of us don't have a lot of money to waste. So we have to learn how to save on the cost of college versus for the cost of college. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So that's what we teach, maximizing aid and all of that. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. You know a little bit about me. So Brian's story and family, he's the founder of this company. When I first met him, Brian, that was 5 years ago, he didn't have any kids and he wasn't married. And he would talk about the things we go through as parents, and I thought, well, you really don't know, you're not a parent yet. Mm-hmm. Now he's a parent, and he's had funny trips to the emergency room and all that fun stuff when your kids are little. So that's Neela and Legan and his wife Genesee. So we are a family-owned business, and we've been here in Santa Cruz Valley for 11 years now. And let's go ahead and get started. Basically, you have a workshop folder. And in the folder, I want to share with you what's in it briefly. For you guys, we make sure our counselor, we're a staff of counselors, financial aid officers, funding officers, because there's 3 pillars in the process. And we'll go over those in a minute. But what I brought for you guys is something from our counselor. It's the A through G requirement check form. I just wanted you guys to have that. And there's also something for homeschool students. Elmarie and I were talking about this before, and every college is going to be different. And so to answer questions about what school is going to accept who and what they're going to accept as far as from coming from a homeschool or a private school or whatever, or public school, you'll have to go on that website and look. Just as financial aid is awarded differently at different schools, different colleges, you're going to find the same thing. There should be a page that you can click on for homeschool, and it should tell you, and for here I gave you the one for UCs, how to kind of navigate that. So you can go ahead and take a look at that. But what I'd like you to do, and I hope everybody has a pen, is take out the workshop notes. You'll see 2 things I'd actually like you to take out. One is the workshop evaluation form. And on this form, basically, we want to know if we shared the information that you actually took your time out on Sunday to come find out. If there was anything else that you needed to get more information on, we're happy to cover those things. We just kind of need to know that. And we really appreciate it because we want to make sure we do a good job for you guys. All our time is valuable, and we want to educate as much as we can. And then we've got workshop notes because we're going to be going over some things I know you'll want to jot down. And so we've made that for you. Also in there, you don't have to look at it now, it's about the owner of the company, Brian Zaftari. I'll tell you very briefly, started this company it was very organically started, out of all the mistakes he made in the process. His parents were not from this country, and he basically did all the filling out the forms and all that kind of stuff himself. Made a mistake every year that he didn't know very simple mistake on the financial aid form, which they're easy to make. And didn't get any aid, and graduated with almost $60,000 in debt going to CSUN. Wonderful university. People from all over the country come to CSUN. It's in our backyard, but it is a very sought after university. And but he didn't get any aid because of mistakes he made. And when researching how to pay these loans back, he found out that college was a business, number one. There is a system, number two. And if you don't know how the system works in regards to the financial aid and other, moving parts of the system, then you will not be at a positive effect of it. And he found himself there. So he made it his goal and mission to go ahead and educate other parents how this system worked and other students familiarize yourself with what award packages look like. And some other stuff we thought was important. So let's go ahead and get started. So there's 3 pillars in the college process. And before we start, who's already gone through this with one of their students? Already got their kids in college and gone through this process sort of with your dancer? Oh, okay, okay. So,
But we didn't do financial aid.
oh, okay. Was there a reason or? Okay, all right.
My son got a scholarship for dance, but that was it. I didn't do any like.
You don't fill out a form,
2000.
financial aid form, okay. Well, you know what, that just solidifies why I'm here today, because I met another family this week. I met with families personally and just kind of continue the conversation, which you'll all be welcome to. But they were in the same situation where they didn't think there's so many myths about the financial aid system. They thought they made too much money or they didn't qualify, so they didn't bother filling it out. One of the things, if you don't fill out that form, you don't even get the quote-unquote good loans that are out there, which are the government loans as opposed to private loans. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But the good news is that every year you can fill out that form. So it's not like you've blown it for 4 years. So anyway, let's talk about the 3 pillars in the college process. Getting accepted to college. Who would say that it could possibly be challenging to get accepted to college nowadays? We're all in agreement on that one?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Why do you think it's so difficult to get accepted? And the answer is super easy.
Competition.
Competition's number 1.
Economy.
Could be the economy, yeah.
Quantity of time,
I'm sorry?
supply and demand.
The number of seats,
Just-
number of students going in. Yeah, that's exactly right. Everyone recognizes nowadays, maybe we didn't when we all went to school. A lot of us in my generation got a 2-year degree. But now we're recognizing that a 4-year college degree is needed nowadays in the workplace, right? Will we all be in agreement of that? So more kids are going to college, and more parents are willing to help their kids get to college because they themselves have either not had the college experience and it has affected them all, the degree, we'll put it that way, and it has affected them all their life in the job place. And they want their students to not be at the effect of that, right? Because we know that companies now look to see where we've graduated. So that's kind of it, it's supply and demand. Getting financial aid is one of them, and we have an example here today of why maybe financial aid wasn't had, because there's a lot of myths out there with financial aid. Who is eligible? And so if we were going to overcome some of those today and kind of show you who's eligible and who gets financial aid and who doesn't get it, maybe by mistake, or maybe there's 3 different types of money that comes. So one's financial aid, and then funding the cost of college. So in my experience, my son got $37,000 of free money and a $60,000 a year school, which was huge. That was all free, didn't have to pay any of that back. But it still left a balance, yes? So we split the balance. And I'll share with you how that works. So I think we can all agree, right, that college is an investment and it's never free. Some of our students get free rides, but then mom and dad are still shelling over some living expense funds, right? Because our kids have to eat. So there's always a cost, but it's worth the investment. Okay, so in teaching this, we all have to understand what some of these acronyms are. COA, does anybody know what COA stands for? And it should be on your notes. Cost of admission, cost of attendance. Exactly right. It's a cost of attendance, and it's a cost of attendance on a yearly basis for that particular year. It's not for your whole experience at the 4 or 5 or 6 year university, but it's for the 1 year cost of college. So it includes, and it is cost of attendance. So it includes tuition fees, room and board, books, transportation, personal expenses, and miscellaneous expenses. And so here's an example of a private college and why the total can rack up so high, right? We're looking at tuition, which is $36,000. Now let me stop right here. Has anyone been to a college fair? Okay. They have a huge one out in Pasadena. once a year, and it's called by NACAC, by the National Association of College Counselors. They put it on. But when we look at tuition, and if you've ever been to a college fair, you're going to see prices like this. Private university, a little bit more than a state or a UC. But the misnomer, or what we can easily be misled on, is that when you go to visit the different colleges at a college fair, they're only going to talk about their tuition cost, because that's what they can compare. You know, they're comparing kind of amongst all the other colleges that are there. But the story doesn't end there, so I just kind of wanted to point that out. There's room and board, there's campus fees, other fees, transportation, books and supply, and allowance, and so it can add up, and that's what your cost of attendance is for 1 year. So that's how it can skyrocket like that. So here's our fun little money slide. So right, I mean our good visual. If we didn't get the visual already, can you see? Okay. Okay. Then it does stack up. Over since 1981, the cost of college has continued to rise. And again, as you mentioned, it's because of supply and demand. We will pay it, and the colleges understand that we hold value in that system, and so because of that, they can continue to raise the prices. Now the cost of living has gone up, but not for us as much as it has for supplying the colleges. There's a four-year education cost anywhere from $40,000 to $250,000 or more. So, is that overwhelming? Anyone just even looking at those numbers? Well, that's the way I thought so. But it's the truth, and that's why we see parents and why parents are so compelled nowadays, is because we need to understand how we can lower that cost, if at all. And so, if you've got more than one student, then we're talking to continue making some more additions to that number. So you multiply the kids, and it keeps on going up 10 to 12% every year. So here's where we're kind of sitting right now, right? How is a family supposed to pay for all that? So you heard what I noodled around, right? My retirement and all those kind of things. I mean, that's what I was trying to get some money from. But let's talk about that. How are we supposed to pay for that? Savings, right? Savings is one. I had saved some money. And I thought I did pretty good. I had saved like $15,000 for an emergency fund. But I said, oh Lord, that's not even going to get me through 1 year of college. So that won't work. I mean, we encourage families to save. We do need to save. But we have to be realistic about what we're doing. We can borrow. And families end up borrowing. We'll talk about the different types of loans. Scholarships, right? Any other suggestions? So we can do interactive here. Where else can we? Go to a lesser school maybe, but one that doesn't cost as much. So that's an option. So these are all different ways that families can pay. And when we talk about borrowing, there's different ways to borrow. There's private loans, there's there are government loans, and then how do we know we can borrow from grandma and grandpa? Maybe their uncle or something. Maybe we won't even have to borrow. Maybe they'll just give us some money, right? So there's different ways, but there are better ways to save as far as to borrow with certain loans, and so we'll share that with you too. I'll share that with you too today. And then scholarships. Do we know all the different types of scholarships that are out there? You guys know some of them, right? Mm-hmm. What would they be?
Merit-based.
Merit-based? Okay. Need-based? Okay. So there's different types of scholarship. And the most important thing I think is that as parents and students, we need to know where are those resources for us, and how do they complement our situation, or not go at all, which I think most of us are here today because we want to continue, right? We want our students to get that college education. Okay, so financial aid, myths versus realities. And so one of the myths is I make too much money, right? My income's too high, so I'm not going to qualify for financial aid. And you're not the only one that's heard this, right? Who else has heard this? Yeah? Okay. You might not qualify for need-based aid, but there's other types of aid out there. There's institutional merit too, which I didn't mention. That's a private scholarship from the school. This is what my son got when he went to the new school. They gave him an institutional merit. because they wanted him as a student. Okay, my grades are too low. Do you think that grades matter with the financial aid system?
I think.
With financial aid?
I think.
Okay. Well, they will matter with a merit scholarship or a grant, but they won't matter with financial aid. When you think about the football player, the baseball player, who is, got a scholarship and accepted to a school, it might not have been because they had a 4.0. I mean, they might have a 2.0, they might have a 2.5, they might have a 3.5, they might have a 4.6, who knows? But they're not going to be rejected for need-based aid because that has nothing to do with the equation when we fill out the financial aid form. Okay, it's not, the grades are too low, it doesn't matter with need-based. Okay, I own a home and I have equity in that home. Or I had equity, right? But we're actually, our homes are, they're coming back up a little bit, which is good. So, that's a myth. And then 8 is only for special groups. So when we think about that, what comes to mind?
Technologies, maybe?
Okay,
Athletes.
okay, and athletes, okay, all right. So, special groups, we kind of tend to think about, the first thing is minority and athletes and things like that. That is a myth, because aid is for everyone, financial aid in particular, is for everyone who has or shows a need for financial aid, okay? So that's a myth as well. And it's an easy process. Which I didn't think it was easy, and a lot of parents don't think it's easy. Brian certainly didn't think it was easy when he thought he filled his form out every year and he came back with a 0 need, and I'll show you how that happened. But it's not an easy process. There's a couple different forms. The first one, financial aid, the FAFSA, which I think we've all heard of, that has quite a few questions on it. And it's easy to make mistakes on that. And then school people can help. I love the way I changed that to that slide, school people. Who are these school people? They're certainly there to help you. Everyone at your school, here, they're all anxious and ready to help you. But they can only come from a place where they know, and if they don't do this if they don't do this like all the time, then they're not going to understand the nuances. Lovely people, but he would say, I don't understand why I'm not getting needs. So they would look it up, and according to his financial aid form, it came back with what's called a SAR, a student aid report, and it says, well, you don't qualify, I'm sorry. But he would never understand why he didn't qualify. So yes, they can help you, but they're not going to pull the form out and look at it and say, oh, what he did, his mistake was you put your family's business down as $50,000 net worth, because he asked his parents, how much should I put down on this form? What's our business worth? And they said, well, I don't know, $50,000, I suppose, if you sold the pizza ovens and things like that. So we put that down in this form every year. Well, that disqualified him every single year he was at Seaside. Because the small print on the financial aid form says, if you have a business, you own a business, which his family did, and you have less than 100 employees, you put 0. Well, he didn't put 0. He put $50,000 every single year, and every single year he disqualified himself because the way the formula works, which is what we're going to go over today, showed no need. So it's a simple formula, but it comes out with whether you're need-based eligible or not. And he just made a mistake on the form, which a lot of parents do, and he didn't get aid. So yes, they are there to help you, but the nuances on that form, it's important to understand. Okay, now we're going to talk about the 3 magic letters. And before I reveal those to you, has anybody ever heard of EFC before? Okay.
Only because I
Oh,
was
wait, that's right. Okay. EFC is something that every family needs to know about, and what is typically not revealed to a family until halfway through their senior year, and then a couple months later, the parents and the student have to commit to a college. May 1st is commit day. So the system is completely backwards, number 1, because this should be known by every single family and student before they even apply to colleges, because it helps them to kind of navigate the best course for them. So, EFC stands for Expected Family Contribution. And what this is it stems from the FAFSA, financial aid form. It's what the government thinks that you can afford for college, based on what you put on the financial aid form. It's a series of questions. And Brian made a mistake on his, lots of families do. But they're going to come back and they're going to tell you what they think you can afford for college, which is really nice of them, by the way, isn't it? And gotta love them, right? And it's equally unfair, I'm just going to say this, it's equally unfair to every family that gets that number. They're usually like, are you kidding? When they did my our EFC for our family, it came back $74,000 a year. We own a small construction company. And I'm like, you're joking, right? Right? But based on what we had filled out, and we had made some mistakes, it came back at $74,000 a year. I'm like, that's ludicrous. How could that be? So, there are over 74 factors, meaning questions, and series of questions, that can determine your EFC. And this is going to be important when we start moving through the formula. And then there's top 6 questions that are used for the EFC calculator, which, by the way, we have our material. If you go on our website, we have a resource tab that has an EFC calculator. So you can go home and play with it if you want. So you can start familiarizing yourself with that. It's parents' income, parents' assets, student income, student assets, the number of people in the household, and the number of students attending college. So that all kind of factors in to the EFC number that you're going to get. And there's our resource right there. You just click on EFC calculator. Now, just like tax planning, this is one thing that I was really, I guess, inspired to find out, that there are, just like we go to a tax planner to lower or take advantage of whatever tax strategy is out there for us to pay less to the government, right? We're all on the same page with that one, right? We want to do our due diligence and, pay if we owe it. But if there's any strategies we can take advantage, we'd want to know about it, right? Okay, so the same thing happens with college planning, and in particular with the financial aid system. There's 163 different ways of reducing your EFC, and not everyone is going to be appropriate for every family. There might be 1 or 2 or 3 that we might be able to implement in your situation. But there again, just know that there are strategies out there. And the EFC is the same for every college you apply to. So when you fill out the financial aid form, we will, on that form, be putting your list of college picks. So how many, just maybe from the students, how many colleges do you think would be appropriate to put on the financial aid form? Or what's a good amount of colleges to apply for?
10 to 12.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, 10 to 12. We have some students who come in and say they've applied to 24. And so that's kind of a lot. And we're going to go a little bit into our presentation here, and I'll show you why it's a lot. But 10 will actually fit on the form. If not, you got to submit a second form, which is, neither here nor there, but it's nice. We feel like 10 to 12 is good. If we can lower it to 10, that's good. There's also application fees to all these colleges too, so we want to minimize our cost. So we don't want to do 24. But that EFC score, getting back to EFC, is going to be applied to every single college, whether it's a private, public, whatever. So they're all taken into consideration. And it's like a springboard, meaning it can go up or down, and I'll show you based on the formula. You'll see how that works. And it's not given halfway through the senior year. Okay, so how do I determine if I am eligible? So COA minus EFC equals need. So this is the big bad formula that is used. That most of us don't even know that. So when we're talking about the cost of attendance, we'll use my son's cost of attendance, for example. The school was like 57. I'm just going to say 60. I had a $60,000 school. My EFC, when I made mistakes on my financial aid form, when I first went in to see Brian, I had filled it out, and there were some mistakes I had made, listing my business and things like that. That was 74. So if we took the cost of attendance at Lang, the New School for Liberal Arts, and minus my EFC of 74,000, what would my need be? 0, right? Okay. That's kind of what the scenario was when I first went to see him. Like, I'm not going to qualify for any if this is my EFC and the college is 60, but I can't afford that, right? So in that scenario, when we fixed my EFC, by correcting the mistakes I had made on the financial aid form, my EFC was down to 20. It's a huge difference. Not everybody's will jump like that. We own a business, so we made the mistake like Brian did, like putting down that same scenario, the cost of business. Easy to make. So then my need went to what? 20 minus 60 is what? So all of a sudden I had a financial aid. Now we're talking, right? Okay, now I can see how this might work. So again, the cost of attendance, we know what that is. The EFC is what the government thinks I can pay for college, and need is how much the family is eligible for. Now, some families with high income, and that depends, but again, it depends on the whole scenario of how many in the family and all of that, they might not be eligible for financial need. But don't forget that there's other resources that college can give you, grants, scholarship, institutional merit, that can also be free money to you as well. So it's important to understand this formula. So we're going to go over a couple different case studies. One is, and these are very different ones. This is Robert, came from a divorced family, attended John Burroughs High School. He wanted to study pre-law. His SAT was 1250. This might be an old one. Disregard that number. The slide has nothing to do with the SAT score, by the way. He looked at 11 different colleges around the country. His family income was approximately $55,000. The family had saved $23,500 in a UGMA account. Are you guys familiar with student saving accounts for college? They're either, yeah. And so they're great ways to save because of the tax deductions that you can use from them. They kind of hit you a little differently when we come to the financial aid system. So again, it's a completely different system than any other system out there. But they had saved some money, which was good. They had 5 members in their family, one in college. Their initial EFC was $16,000, and their final EFC after we worked with them was down to $4,176. They received $42,000 in financial aid at the University of San Diego. So when we look at this scenario, we want to look at a couple different reasons why this EFC was lowered. For this family in particular, his parents were divorced. So with this particular school, there again, every school is different, and they're going to give you instructions on how they work. They said we only want the financials on the parent that the student lives with 51% of the time. So that was mom. Mom made $55,000. When they first filled out the form, they had both parents' income on there. Okay? They're again easy to make these mistakes. So we just dated mom. Dad could step to the side. He can certainly help pay for college, but he was not going to be on the form, nor did he have to be on the form. It was not even a reason we had to be on the form because of the school's policy, right? Most of the schools are like that, by the way, but some of them we have to be careful with. And also there was money saved in a student account. Now just to talk about this briefly, because it does matter where your money is saved, how the colleges look at it is they say, when they're looking at awarding a package to a student, they will look on the financial aid form to see where the money is. Again, there was 163 different ways, right? Different strategies that can make this expected family contribution go up and down, but the colleges also have access to that form so they can see it. When they see that you have money saved in a student account, they want you to spend, I suppose as they should, right? You saved for college. They want you to spend 50% of that, up to 50%, the first year that they're in college. And we always encourage, because of this, because we know this, we always encourage parents to save. Yes, save, because you'll need it. But save, take a look at saving under your name instead. Because when the college looks at a parent's assets, they will look at the fact that it's under a parent's savings account for the parent. Could be emergency, could be retirement. So they're going to ask you to spend up to 10% of it the first year. So that's quite a difference. It's thousands of dollars difference in what you're going to be spending the first year of college. Now, we also stand here and say that we are not financial planners. So if you have a student account, we're not the ones that are telling you to move it. When we have families come in, we take a look at the whole scenario and we'll say, listen, talk to your financial advisor, but if it's going to make sense and there's enough time, then you might want to take a look at moving that. There's always a cost to that, which is why we're not financial advisors on that. But if you're looking at a $5,000 scholarship that you would be granted, as opposed to getting hit with maybe, you know, $400, $600, $1,000 in fees, that's when families kind of take a look at it. But there again, this is not something that we're up here telling you to move at all. We're just telling you how the system works and how they do it. And then you can always continue the conversation, but we just want you to know that we're not telling you to move anything. But so with this family, we saw them early enough, it made sense for them to actually move that into a parent's name. And so when they did go through the application process, that's why you're seeing the difference in their EFC. Does that make sense? So again, all the different strategies of what we need to know these ahead of time to actually plan. And now we'll look at case study 2. This is Kevin from Texas. Business management is his major. Again, wrong SAT, so I apologize for that. He initially picked 1 and then considered 24 and then applied to 9. Does that sound like anybody out here? Okay. Why do you think, we basically said, okay, let's talk about the 24. Let's have a conversation about that. Why 24? And it was his fear of not being able to get in that propelled him to do 24, right? So we convinced him to do the 9. But why would you think that, let's say you're a college, you're an admissions officer, and you see 24 applications, or 24 schools that the student is considering. Now, take in mind you're the admissions officer. Let's just kind of do a profile for the admissions officer. It's his job to what? Pick the students that would be a good fit for the school. And keeping in mind that college is business, one of the retention rates that they look at is this student going to stay for 4 years or 6 years? You know, colleges are rated on all of that. How long, what is their retention for students, right? So if this student is picking out 24 colleges, if you were an admissions officer, why would you kind of put that aside?
The likelihood is slim.
She said it right. What's your name?
Katie.
Katie. Katie said, it doesn't look like this student is quite focused on what they want to do. And so I can't guarantee that if I give them an acceptance, that they come to my school. In fact, I can far from guarantee that. So I can't even, this one's going to go to the side. So, that's just kind of the nuts and bolts of how it works. But the average is anywhere from 9 to 12, 10 to 12. And so that's what we encouraged him to do less. Their family income was pretty good, $467,000, right? $380 in taxable investments, $250 in home equity, for family members, 2 in college. Their initial EFC was $78,452. They made a lot of money, right? Their final EFC after working with us was brought down to $11,298. They received over $21,975 in financial aid at Baylor University. Let me get back to that one. Okay, at Baylor University. Now, why do you think that this family even got an 8A? And what type of aid do you think that they got? Did they need financial aid?
Their investments were put in different, the types of investments that they had couldn't be touched by colleges. I don't know, that would be my guess.
Okay, that they didn't have to put those investments on the financial aid form?
Possibly.
Okay.
They had 2 other kids in college, so that would check my.
And that could potentially bring it down. That's true. That's true. We have a couple different scenarios going on with this one. And you're right, on the financial aid form, there's mistakes that parents make by putting down their home equity. If you live in this home, you don't have to put home equity on. However, this is a private university. So with private universities, have you guys ever heard of a CSS profile? Okay. A CSS profile, I hadn't either. So I was educated on all of this myself. A CSS profile is another form that private universities, not all private universities, but most private universities will ask the family to fill out. It's an additional form And that requires you to put down everything. Which on the financial aid form, your FAFSA, you don't have to put down the business net worth if you have less than 100 employees. You don't have to put down your home if you live in your home. You don't have to list certain things because it doesn't ask you to do so. But on the CSS profile, they want everything. So, so the family got a chance to look, the school got a chance to look at this family, okay? Now, if you were a business, like a college, and you were looking for a certain style of family, type of family, because as a business, you want to embrace all, you want to be equal, right? And you want to provide opportunity for all students, but as a business, what was the incentive for this college to grant this family financial aid, merit scholarships?
That they would give the university money later.
Absolutely, bingo. Being a business, alumni at private universities often give back, right? And so when they look at this, we have to remember, again, colleges are businesses, which is okay, but they also have actuaries that work there too. And they, this is called the top tier family. So when they're looking at families, they do accept families at every level, but they also need to look at top tier families. And so this happens to be a top tier family where they would most likely turn into an alumni who would most likely give back. So whatever money, private institutional merit, that this family got was going to be given back in charitable contributions, most likely, after graduating, and possibly could become a legacy school. So that's why the family was entitled, the colleges would take a look at this type of family.
So then, are you saying that it was a good thing that the college was able to see all their assets?
Well, yes, first of all, it's a good thing. That's why we encourage, again, the financial aid form, the FAFSA. Remember, there's two different forms. This
Right.
one also had a CSS profile attached. But the financial aid form, we actually, that's what we encourage families who have high net worth to actually fill out that form. Because the college will look at that form, and we want the college to see that you're a high net family. Because colleges are also wanting those families, to embrace those families and those students. Workshop over at Park High Baseball, and one of the parents worked for Chapman University and also worked for USC in administration. And after the workshop, of course I didn't know this when I was talking, after the workshop he goes, yeah, I just want to tell you I work for, And I said, oh, that's fabulous, we love Chapman. You guys heard of Chapman University? Hugely generous college, it's one of our favorite colleges. They vie with, they're in competition with USC. So here this guy works for both schools that are in competition with one another because they both have a great film department. Chapman has developed their film department and they're competitive now with USC, which the colleges are finding that's one another for business too. And so he said, no, I really appreciate you sharing that. As a college, he said, we have to start looking at those top tier families because they're running a business too. And he shared with me that some of the colleges back east, or not back east, excuse me, the Midwest, have having to close down because, it's expensive. So they're looking at the bottom line too. So everything plays a factor in it. Okay, so the two types of aid, free money, is gift aid, which is free money, and then self-help, which is work study and student loans. So do you guys know what work study is? My son got offered it. The only way that you will get either one of the work study or the student loans is if you fill out a financial aid form. You will not be given the opportunity to do work study at a school if you do not fill out the financial aid form of the FAFSA financial aid. So then they'll offer you, if you're need-based, they will offer you work study. They offered it to my son, and he worked on campus every year he was at school. And also the student loans, the government loans, are better loans as opposed to private loans. Because with the government loans, there is flexibility to work with lowering the payment, deferring it, and all of those things. So we talk about that when you come in. We can share with you more about the different options out there and the better ways to go and all of that. And then we have to ask certain questions to colleges. Let me see where I'm at. Okay. These are really important in the whole after of college or college experience, and depending on how long we're going to be at college also depends on the cost, right? So let's take a look at that. When we're looking at a college, we want to know, and you can go on, have you guys gone through college websites and kind of taken a look yet? Yes? Okay. Sometimes some of them are hard to navigate. Others are easier, right? I know, it's like, what? Make it easy. But you want to know what percentage of need that they need. Every college is different. Some meet 100% of need, some meet 60% of need. Our private schools are going to be different than our state schools and our Cal States and our UCs. They're all going to be different. So you want to know what percentage of need that they need. And then another really important question is what percentage of need will be gift aid and then self-help. So gift aid means that you don't have to pay it back. Self-help is student loans or parent loans. So those you will have to pay back. So it's not necessarily free money. They'll package it as such, but it's not free money. And then of course, this is huge nowadays. How long does it take to graduate? So here's what's happening today. Is our four-year universities, our private universities are the ones that pretty much can guarantee you're out in 4 years. And that was true for my son, and I know a lot of our students. Sometimes it's 4.2, because there's always one kid in there that doesn't do what they need to do, so it brings the average down. But you can pretty much be guaranteed that you're going to have a 4-year college experience when you go to a private university. Publics are taking anywhere from 4.5 to 5.5. These are not numbers we made up. You can just go on the website and pull, Google this yourself and pull it out. But it's about 5.4 years, depending on where the school is at. We love our seaside down the street. Certain majors are impacted. Business is impacted down there, and so it will take you 5.4 years to get out. So there's a cost. Financial aid is granted for 4 years. That last year of college, and we've seen lots of students, happened to our counselor's sister. She was at San Diego State, and she changed her major, which will happen. We try to help our students pick a college that actually they can do different majors in, so they've got the right, they've got the option to change, which it does happen. And she had to appeal to the school to stay because her last year of college was going to be $25,000, and her first 4 years was met by need-based aid, and so her need base ran out. So they worked with her, and she took out some loans and made it happen. But these are scenarios we just kind of have to know that are out there and can happen to us so that we're not hit from the side. And privates are 4.2 as an average. Okay, we're going to do this case study really quick because I know we're running out of time here. But I just want to kind of show you how this kind of all plays out. So we've got a private school and a state school. So at the cost of attendance is just rounded out to $40,000. We won't make it crazy. It's $40,000. And the EFC, let's say we did your calculations, right? The government came back with an EFC that says you can pay $10,000 for college. So we're going to use this in this example. So there's your EFC. So your EFC minus the cost of college equals your need, right? We did that in my family situation when we went over that. Does that make sense so far? Okay, so now you're showing that you have a need, right? Because the cost of college is greater than your EFC, which brings us a need. Okay, so this happens to be Occidental over in Pasadena. We know that they're 100% need-based, okay? Gift aid is 80%, very generous. Self-help is 20%. They need student loans, parent loans, and work study. So let's go through what you actually pay. Your EFC is $10,000, so you know that that's your out-of-pocket expense. Your gift aid is $24,000. That is gift. Your self-help is $6,000. And remember, self-help is either the work study or student loans or parent loans. So the total cost of college is $16,000 per year. Does that make sense? That scenario makes sense? How we got there? We've got the cost of college minus what you're supposed to pay equals a need, and then we talk about how the school meets that need. This one particular school breaks their need down. It's 100% need met, which is another thing. When you go on the websites, they'll brag about their need met, But you have to actually go a little bit further and find out how much is gift aid and how much is self-help, okay? Because a loan is not a gift. A loan is a loan. You have to pay it back. So what you actually pay is your EFC, because everybody's got to pay their expected family contribution. And then minus the gift aid, but that self-help, you see the 10,000 and the 6,000, you see how we got to what you actually pay for a year? And then times 4 years, if you're a private university, which this is, it should be about $64,000 for college. Could be more, could be less, depending on the college you're looking at. Let's just compare it quickly with a state school. Now, as a parent, we're looking at the cost, and we get really excited. Because we go, oh, that's half the cost of a private university. So I like what I'm seeing. Now, EFC, 10,000. What's our need at this school? It's 10, right? Because we just took the 10 from the 20. Now, this is a state school, so they can't meet 100%. They need 60%. And so we're already 4,000 short in this scenario. And gift aid is 50%, which is how we broke it down. And self-help is 50%. So let's see what we actually pay at the state school. So the EFC is 10,000. The unmet need is 4,000, so we have to add that to our equation. The total expected family contribution is 14,000. The total gift aid is 3. Self-help is 3. So how much do you guys think we pay at this college? 17, that's right. So, well, what's the one other question that we need to know?
How many
17 per year.
years to graduate?
How many years to graduate? Yeah. Total cost, so it's if we take the 5 years, not even the 5.4, the 5 years, we've got 85,000 at a state school, and then 64 at a private. So this was a real eye-opener for me when I sat through this workshop, because I went, wow, when he talks about going to a private university cheaper than a state, how does that work? So this is kind of just a scenario of how it works. And when you factor in the fact that this student, in fact, we had one of our students come work for us for a while. He's up in the Bay Area now doing, working for an IT company up there. But he actually came and worked with us. He's a student that went through the program along with my son. And he graduated in 4 years, went to Fullerton. And his friends were still stuck at CSUN and a couple other colleges. And learning all this stuff that got him out in the workplace. And we talked about that often, and he went out and would share his story too. But it's a real scenario that happens. So we miss out on any earned income we could. And plus we rack up more in debt. So what's the number way to get more money from a college, do you think? Come on, guys.
Ask for it.
Do you know what? I cannot believe you said that. I think you are like one of the only parents that just came out with the right answer.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, if I had a little bonus gift to give you, I'd give it to you. You asked. That seems weird, right?
Wow.
But you asked. That's for more. That is so awesome. Does every parent know that they can do this and how that looks, what it looks like at a college? Okay. Well, I didn't either. But this, again, fell into my scenario with my son. So he got accepted to Lang. They came back with an offer, an award package. But at a $60,000 college, what they offered was great, but it wasn't great enough. So I called Brian up on the phone. And I said, Brian, he got accepted. They gave him an award. But we still can't send him because we can't afford this. So I went in to see him. We worked on what's called an appeal process. You can negotiate with most businesses, colleges are businesses, but they will never call it negotiation. It's called an appeal process. For my situation, for our family situation, we're in construction. It was 2009, so we all know what happened in 2008, right? And so business was not the way it was when I first filled out the financial aid form. Speaking of which, I want to share with you that the tax information that you put on this financial aid form when you were all seniors and getting ready to go through the process will be prior year's taxes. So for us, the prior year was pretty good. was fine, which is why we came out with that $74,000, right, and some mistakes were made, but it was fine. But now things have changed. My husband, our business had pretty much, become a standstill. My husband had hip surgery, hip replacement, and I was not working at the time. So I came in, met with Brian, and we went through what was called an appeal process, which is basically asking the college for more money. There are certain considerations we can do that in, and certain we cannot. If a college is super generous, and we have software, we actually have amazing software that's tied into every single college, which is what makes us unique and different, which we can get all the inside stuff and help your students be competitive. But when asking for the money from a college, you have to know why you're asking. So for us, it was called a special circumstance. Some of you might find yourself in that situation as well. Income has gone down, the illness of a spouse, or the death of a spouse, you're taking care of your grandparent or your parents. You have special circumstances. The colleges will take those into consideration. And it's called a special circumstance. So we had to do that, and the college came back with a wonderful award based on our scenario and the fact that they, my student was a student that they wanted in their community. So you ask. And so you just never know until you find out that is a viable option to ask for a college. Most parents think, I can't ask, I'm just so grateful they got accepted. But you're not even asked, they might take the acceptance away. Okay, just really quick and wrapping up, I know everyone's getting sleepy. 7 mistakes that can cost you thousands in the process. I think this goes for anything in life. When you spend too little time in planning anything, then it can cost you thousands. Leaving all the college planning process in the hands of the counselors, financial aid officers, and admissions officers. There again, this is a process, whether we like it or not, guys, we have to take charge of it ourselves. I didn't have a college, my son was already 20 when we went through this whole experience. I didn't have a college counselor to run to. And taking one step back further, I would never have thought of go to the high school, make an appointment with the counselor, and ask them, how am I going to pay for college? I would have never thought that. I would run to my financial advisor first, which he shook his head and go, I don't know. But I would have never thought of that. And they are there to help your students get through high school and to go through the process of looking at the colleges and making themselves college ready academically, but they're not they can't be your financial advisors or tell you how to do this. So it's one of those things that we have to take on as a family and a student to do this. And starting too late in the process, we love to work with 9th graders and on, because then we can kind of gear them and work with them to help them be that student that the college communities are looking for. But my son was already graduating. And I say that it's never too late in the process to start taking a look at positioning great fit colleges for each of the students. So not to put you in any fear with that when we start working with students at an early age, but it's never too late. And procrastination. I mean, I'm completely guilty of it. And I think we kind of all. It's like one of those things we'll deal with when my kid's a junior, or when that year comes, then we'll start dealing with it. But what parents don't realize, does anybody own their own business here? You do, okay. So, yeah, so what we did too. And so what I always try to communicate and ask in the audience is, because when you're W-2, you're a W-2 employee, you don't have the same tax advantages as if you own your business, right? You have certain write-offs, we do in our business, that we can do. Well, it's no different with planning for college and strategizing to see if there's anything that would help us in that process as well. So you're going to want to know that before your senior year, before you get your EFC, because I've had plenty of parents come in and go, well, I wish I knew that before, which is why we're teaching at middle schools now. We want parents to just be educated on this process so that they know that there is some preparation that they can be doing. And then submitting the financial aid forms late or with mistakes, and this happens all the time, it just does. And then receiving incorrect information online from non-credible sources. And I did the same thing. I ran to my sister. She'd already put 5 kids through college. I'm like, Phyllis, I don't have Phyllis for me. And so she helped me with it. Make sure you put your AGI and stuff. But I still made mistakes because they didn't know their business, so they didn't know the answer to that. So that's why we love when you come to our workshops or you come in to continue the conversation with us. We can kind of just give you tips and strategies, or if you're looking for a resource to help with And not seeking help from a certified college planner. That's what you guys did today. Here, we're teaching what we teach. And so thank you for inviting us. And important takeaway questions. Do you know how to find the best fit and ensure your college gets accepted? Have you guys heard of this best fit before?
Going back,
Yeah.
what was the last mistake?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. Oh, not seeking or getting advice
Gotcha.
from someone who does this all the time.
Okay, thank you.
I have a quick question about the FAFSA. It's making mistakes. What if you made a mistake and you realize it now? Can you go back and fix it for the past year? Like for this coming year or?
Yeah, if you made a mistake this year,
Yeah.
The CSS profile, you cannot go back and fix anything. They're just, it's God's word, whatever you put on it. It's very difficult. I'm saying never, but the financial aid form, yes, you can go back and make corrections. And again, the financial aid form needs to be filled out every year. Now, here's one of the things with the financial aid form. They do run out of money. It's on a first come, first served basis. We fill for our clients, we fill it out. It opens January 1st. We wait till the second week of January to start filing our forms, because that first week, they usually bring in a bunch of people and there's some mistakes made, and we've already been through that. We don't want mistakes made on our forms. So we wait for the second week and then we're done by February 1st. So we're definitely going to be in the lineup for 8. You won't have your taxes done by then. We submit your prior years and then we go in and we update them. So anyway, yes, you can.
One quick question
Yeah.
about, you said to list the schools that they're applying to them. So what if you list just 2 and then later you think, oh, I might want to go to 2 others, except for going back in there. Will those other schools have access somehow to the FAFSA or no?
Yeah, but it
Will you have
depends
to
on
add-
their enrollment and application date and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you didn't apply to them, then it's not gonna work.
Okay.
So
So
that's
they
why,
don't get it unless you put them on there.
yeah, yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right, and then, so best fit, I'm huge on this best fit, because I tell you what, guys, a best fit college will want your student to, our case scenario, best fit college is a college where your student can be academically challenged, a social environment that they can thrive, and it's affordable for the family. So what I ended up with, and my son ended up with, and what we hope you all end up with, and what we position our students to end up with, is a best fit for everybody. The student's happy, they've got the rigor and challenge that they're looking for, or it's not a school that's too rigorous for them, where they're not going to meet that, because that's miserable. And there's competitive colleges for everyone, whether you're a 4.2 or a 3.2 or a 2.5. Let's get you in a best fit where you can grow and thrive and be all that you can be, right? As parents, that's all we want from our students. And then, do you know how to receive financial aid regardless of your income or your assets or your student's GPA? So hopefully we talked a little bit about that. You have a little bit more understanding than you did maybe before. And then, here's a tough one for a lot of our families. Do you know how to fund college without sacrificing your retirement? This is a huge one, and the 3 different pillars we work on is getting in, maximizing aid, and then helping families figure out how to fund it. Because there's different ways to fund it. Some are better than others, but every family is going to be different. So what's going to be best for your family, and your family is going to be completely different. But it's imperative, because what happens, not to scare you, but this is what happens, is when we looked at how much it costs, times 4 years, times maybe a couple more kids going, what we have parents who have taken out, and this is God's honest truth, they've taken out over $500,000 in parent loans to get all their kids through college, because it certainly wasn't fair for the youngest one not to go when they sent the first one. And they're financially devastated. So we have to figure out how to make this work, because it is all doable. Will there be an investment? Yes, there will be an investment. But let's try to minimize that as best we can and prepare for it. And just to kind of go over our services really quick, we guide students on finding the right colleges and ensuring they get accepted. We can do this, and we can be bold about this, because we've helped you pick colleges that are best fit. I talked a little bit about software. I'd like to elaborate on that just a little bit, because I think as a company we don't really share as much as we should at our workshops about that. We have this program that we pay huge licensing fees for. It's tied into every single college. So we know exactly how generous these colleges are, but stepping way back in the process, we're going to take your students' information and plug it into the system, and we'll come back with a readout of reach schools, safety schools, and core schools. That's where we start. to be honest with you. That's where we start. Now, if there's another school off that list your student wants to go to, oh, you got in. But I understand how that works. But that helps us hugely. We can also, when you get award packages coming back, we plug that award into our software, and it'll tell us, did the award that they give you, was it an average of what they gave other families in your organization? And if not, we can go back to that school and appeal. If it is, then we have to say thank you very much and let's consider this. But having that software is invaluable. And so it's kind of one of our hidden secrets, but I like to share it because it helps us continue to help families. And then give parents free money for college regardless of income or assets. We like to say we can help families pay wholesale on college. Again, because we understand where the money is. And then show parents how to fund the cost without using savings, sacrificing their lifestyle, or going broke. And who's an analysis good for? Students and parents that are motivated to attend college. So one thing we always say to the student is, are you motivated to go? Because we have had families who have hired us and say, can you please motivate my student? And we're like, no, we can't do that. So if you're motivated to go, we're just thrilled to be able to help you to go. And as a family, as parents, we're motivated to get them there. But friendly families, I always laugh when I put this one down. But I have to tell you about it, but sometimes we see divorced families, and it's we're not marriage counselors, but we will work with both. Everybody in the family is part of this equation. But I'll tell you this, I'm going through a refi right now, and it's taken way longer than we thought. And there's been some bumps along the road, no different than the college experience. There are certainly some bumps. We are there to guide you and help you and be a resource for you and do certain things for you and ask you to do certain things with us along the way. But there's certainly some bumps, and so we just want you to understand that it's not a bump-free process. So we like it when our families are friendly. Students and parents serious about the college degree and career placement, which I think we all are. And career placement, we all want. Another thing I hear from parents is, my kids are going to go to college education, we're going to fund this expense, and they're not going to have a job. Is that a reality? Mm-hmm. Do we know people in college education and they don't have a job? It happens, right? So one of the things that we work with our students with, or a conversation you can have as a family, is let's Google some careers out there would be great. Again, our software helps with the student to help them to kind of uncover what their skill sets are, what their values are, and what they're good at. And it comes up with a bunch of different careers. And then we start looking at colleges that can help those careers. And we just start talking about lifestyle and how much they want to earn, and things like that. You have to explore all of those. And then parents who are serious about their money and retirement, I think we all are. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. And parents that don't want to procrastinate. It's just one of those things we can't procrastinate out. And basically, when you come in, we help you. We can go on the calculator if you haven't done it already at home. You want to website and do it. But we'll kind of take a look at that, at your family's situation, answer any questions you have, additional strategies on college acceptance. If there's anything there that we see for you or anything that we feel would be a benefit, then we'll definitely let you know. But it's continuing the conversation. You'll see here that there is an analysis charge for $497, but anytime we speak in any venue, we always do it for free because we really appreciate the opportunity to come in, to share, to teach, and there should not be a charge when you guys are also dedicated to be here today and to get your families on the right track and your students on the right track, so there's no cost. We do always mention that you can save a lot of time by having someone help navigate the course with you. And all our time is valuable. So it's really up to you when you make a decision as a family in anything. Is this worth my time? Like my husband will not do the yard work. I will not do the yard work. So for us, it's worth it to us. And those are the decisions we make as families, right? So it's no different than with us. And basically, you just, I have your information. You have an evaluation there. If you do want to come in for a free appointment to continue the conversation, kind of see where your family fits, you're welcome to do so. We'd love to see you and talk about the concerns that you have. We do ask that that you only have one cancellation though if you make an appointment because they're free. So we'll go ahead and set a time for you guys to come in. If you want to fill that evaluation out, I can go ahead and call you and set an appointment. And we do ask that both parents are there along with the student because it's a family event, so I have to say. So any questions can be answered. And that's pretty much it. Did you guys find this helpful?
Yeah.
Yes.
Learn some information that you didn't have before? Did I leave you with any hope? Because I don't want to, did I leave you with hope? Okay, good. That's always my prayer. But, or she has a question, maybe.
No, I got a
Maybe
question.
with
Just
hope.
my son's 12 and already stressing about how to pay for college. And a few years ago, before he had any concept, he was saving his birthday money so he could have a medal. And somewhere along the way, somebody told him how much college costs. He came to me, Mom, I don't know if my birthday money's going to be enough for him.
Oh, gosh. You know what I need to say about that? Thank you for sharing that, number
Yeah.
one. And he wouldn't be the only one. We have so many students that come into us and, you know, you all love your family. Our family, I mean, we understand the situation that we're in as families nowadays, right? Nobody has an extra $200,000 to say, you know, you go to college. But thank you for sharing that because our students are stressed out, not only about the cost, families are stressed out about the cost, students are as well. And they're also stressed out about the competition. And they're afraid of not being able to get in. And, you know, it's just, that's a reality that we deal with as parents and students are carrying on as a burden. So just understanding the process, knowing that there's 4,500 colleges out there, you guys, and by knowing which ones want you as much as you want to get in is a huge benefit because it kind of will steer you towards those ones. I mean, let's face it, we probably all know about 10 colleges, right? All the ones we've heard forever, maybe some of our kids are going, you know, friends have gone to or whatever. But there's 4,500 colleges out there. And there's some great colleges in California. There's some great out-of-state colleges. And so it's really kind of taking a look at all of that to reduce the stress. I know as a parent, for myself and my son and our whole family, that was one of the things, is just providing relief in this one area to know that there is a way and that you have kind of looked at all the different ways for your family and knowing that you're going down a course that is going to put you in a position in 4 or 5 or 6 years that's not going to devastate the family. And that you as students will graduate, be at a college where you can switch your major if you need to, because it happens. And that you won't be in astronomical student debt, and that there's a career waiting for you at the end of that degree. So, yeah, there's lots of learning, you know, there's lots of discussions to be had. So, anyway, I thank you for letting me come and share. And there is an evaluation there. If you guys can fill that out and you'd like to come in and see, maybe continue the conversation and see where you guys sit, then I'd love to do that. And we're located in Valencia by Embassy Suites.
I have one quick question. Someone recently told me, and I know some of the people here would probably try to transfer in as juniors, that there's way less financial aid available for juniors. Do you think that's true, or I don't even know where they come from?
I've never heard that.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, glad to hear.
So, yeah, if it's true, I've never heard it. I think I would have heard it, but you know,
Yeah.
you just, you know, there's so many things that kind of mulling around. Yeah.
And what is the cost if we do decide to sign on with you to help us? Like, let's say my daughter's in 9th, almost 10th grade, and we want to utilize you for the next 2 years. What would be the cost of that?
Yeah, our services, we're actually kind of looking at changing the programs a little bit, and I say that only because we just had a meeting about that the other day, because we want to make our services accessible to everybody. But the average cost is anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000, $3,500, $4,000, depending on how long we're working, you know, with your family and the resources that you're looking for. If you're like me and I wanted to, you know, just go through the whole process with them, then definitely our platinum club, which is about 39, would be something that would really, but we're there for you in all the different levels of this whole process, the getting in, the maximizing the aid, and then helping and counseling with the funding for your experience.
Does that look different cost-wise if you start with someone who's in 9th grade versus 11th?
You know, the advantage is that we're able to work with your student and with you guys for a longer period of time. That's going through all the different, the 9th grade courses. We have what's called Cruise to College with our students. And so through 9th grade, we have them doing certain things. Through 10th grade, what we're doing along the process is we're helping that student become that college student that the colleges are looking for. The extracurriculars are looking for, the classes they may or may not need to take based on, you know, whether do they have to take any APs, should they not take APs. You know, you're working with our counseling staff to kind of just make sure that you've done everything in every single year that you've been in high school, because colleges do look at the whole experience of college. They look at any extra activities that you do. Again, they're looking for, they have a culture on their campus, and do you fit their culture? So, yeah, so, no, the actually advantage is that you get a longer experience and more information with your student and more help for your student if you get started with us in 9th grade. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, but would it cost you more because it's more time? No.
Yeah, it's a one-time fee. It's a one-time fee when you get signed up with us. And what we do is we meet with you guys, we meet with the students, we have seminars all the time, we have one-on-ones. And so depending on what we're talking about, if we're talking about student positioning, what we call strategic enrollment management, it's where we're working with the student to help them be that student that they, either find the college that's a good fit for them, we help them with their careers, trying to figure out what career they want to get into, what colleges would match that. And then also, once they do choose a college, making sure that this student is what this college is looking for. And so we can ensure, when we talk about ensuring that they get in, I just had one of our Granada Hills mom call me up and say, thank you so much, my son got accepted, she's one of our clients, and our son got accepted to MIT and Caltech, and all his other friends that were same GPA, which was like 4.5 or something, they didn't even get accepted. And she's like, they're devastated, and I know just working with you that we were able to position Blake and make sure that he had everything he needed. And she goes, I'm convinced that's what it was. Now, can we ever 100% guarantee you can get in? No, that's not in our hands. Can we ensure that we can help position your student and help your student have everything available to them to be that, to get accepted? Yeah, I mean, that's what we do. It's part of the planning process. But we can never 100% accept. I mean, nobody can do that. Nobody can do that. We certainly know what they're looking for.
For planning purposes, this college plan appointment an hour for?
Yeah, it's actually an hour appointment. It's in our office up in Valencia. And we actually come 15 minutes early because there is a survey that we have you fill out. And the survey is comprised of questions about you and your family, as far as the planning part, the funding part. And then the other comprised of the student and just kind of the things they've done so far and any test scores that they might have and things like that. So we can kind of analyze if you are a family that we would even be benefit to. We have lots of families that move in and out of our doors because we always want to welcome all families to come in and have a conversation, but not every family might make a good fit for us. It's got to be a good fit for you guys just as well as it is for us, or else we don't have, the expectation is not met. If we think we can help you and make a difference for you, then we'll basically welcome you on board and say, yeah, we think we can really make a difference for your family. If not, then we'll give you whatever guidance we can and just kind of help paint that picture for you, and then they can navigate the course. It should be simple enough that they can navigate it on themselves. So yeah, would love to see you guys in there and continue the conversation if you need anything. So thank you. Are there any other questions?
So Johnny, you want to start, just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're at in the process, what do you think of from homeschooling into college?
Hello everybody, I'm Johnny Hyman, I'm her son, if you didn't know that already. So yeah, I've been doing community college sort of system for a really long time. My first class was when I was 10. And luckily I kind of knew everything about the class already. Like I took the summer before that and just basically prepared for it, like just doing online stuff. And basically knew most of the course material by the time I was there. So I got an A in it. Yeah, so that was my first experience, and then it was obviously a couple of years in between. 10's a little young to be doing, I don't know, chemistry. So it took a couple of years, and then I think it was around when I was 12 that I started doing it more constantly. So basically just started doing my general education stuff. Got through, I basically had taken classes at almost every single community college in the LA area, other than Valley College, I think, and Antelope Valley. So those two. I've done Moore Park, I've done CSC, I've done Mission, I've done Glendale. I think that's kind of the main one. So yeah, I have a lot of experience in it. I'm kind of done with almost all my GED stuff now, just actually, yeah, all my GED stuff. I'm just doing calculus now, so I'm kind of like, you know, I'm 18 and I'm already done with all that stuff. Graduate high school and with all the college credits. So
What's your plan?
my plan. Good question. So yeah, the plan is basically next year or so I'm going to be doing just a ton of chemistry and calculus and stuff. The plan is to go do aerospace engineering, hopefully at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. They have an awesome aerospace program there. So that's the plan.
How was your experience from going as a homeschooler into the college system? What would you advise parents?
Yeah, so going as a homeschooler into the college system, I think probably the biggest thing that was hard, or that would be hard if you're not going in with like a sibling or something or a friend of yours that you know, is just the social aspect of it. It is kind of strange because, you know, most people are like 3 times your age, so, or at least 2 times your age. So that can be a little bit strange. So I think probably the number one thing I would advise is like at least go in with a brother or sister or a friend or both or all 3, you know, whatever. That's basically what I did first class. It was my brother and my best friend. We all 3 went to the same class. So that was the best because then at least we can have our own sort of group and have some friends and don't feel as strange. So yeah.
I have a question. What was your first class? What was the subject?
It was actually like special effects, like movie making special effects in a particular
And
program.
what college was it?
That was at Mission. LA Mission.
Mission. And then, what does GED stand for?
Oh, GED, general education, just general education. Yeah, I was like, there's nothing. Just general education credit. So that's like, I guess that's like the A through G stuff, like English, psychology, health, stuff like that.
And why did you go through so many colleges?
That's a good question. It kind of, sometimes like the classes were just full and you couldn't get in at one. Sometimes it's you know, I get sometimes it's a particular thing. Like I did aviation at some point and it's only at Glendale Community College, so that's kind of the main reason.
Yeah, the time of classes, like if you know, I wanted to have it in the afternoon or evening,
Yes,
or only
that's
want to
it.
go once a week, instead of twice a week, so it
Or the
was around.
teacher's back. That's
Yeah, the
another
teacher.
thing. Yeah.
The teacher, yeah. Yeah, there's actually a great website, ratemyprofessor.com, that you can go on, that tells you all about the professors, and, you know, it's good to give comments too. If you want
What's
to
our
take it,
website?
ratemyprofessor.com. It's a really useful website.
Are you hoping to get all of your those credits that you got for GEDs transferred up to San Luis Obispo? Did you check with them? How does
Yes.
that work?
Yeah, so there's an awesome website, assist.org, and it's basically, I think, just California colleges, and it tells you if it'll transfer or not. Pretty much all of them transfer, especially to community colleges. You just kind of need to look before you do the class. It says like CSU/UC transfer.
Academic that you would advise kids that, you know, going from a homeschool environment, maybe not writing a lot of tests and all that. Is there
Like
anything?
academic stuff. Yeah, I guess sort of seek every resource that you can. I mean, this is great that you're here if you are here. So, basically one of the things that my mom did was like gave me a bunch of like these DVDs from the library. She's like, watch these. It's like how to do essay tests, and I was like, I really don't want to watch this. This is stupid. But I actually did watch them, and it was ridiculously helpful. So just and I got like pretty decent grades on those essay tests. So seek out all the resources that you can and ask people questions about how they did the essay test, what is an essay test, and don't be afraid to talk to your professors as well. They're almost always like super nice. So.
Did you do an SAT or are you just transferring as a junior with your credits? Is that how you're working?
I didn't do a SAT or ACT. I'm going to transfer in as a junior with the credits. So as long as you do that, at least in San Luis Obispo, you don't need to have SAT or ACT.
Did you have to take the placement exams for the colleges at 10 years old?
Yes.
What was that
Well,
like?
at 10, we actually I didn't have to take any. Usually, you only have to do the placement test for like a general education class, like say math or English. But I did eventually take those. I had to take them a couple times. So I did it first time because sometimes when you go to different colleges, you have to do it again. So I did one at Mission Community College like a couple of years ago, and then placed into English whatever and math whatever, and then recently I did it again and placed into passed pre-calculus. So basically just like through all of math.
I think they might have changed that.
depending on which school you're going to, I think you have to take a placement test now.
Yes,
No matter what.
Yeah,
No matter
yeah.
what. Do you know the
So
answer
when
to
I
the
was
AP
in
courses?
Santa Cruz, I wanted to just take dance classes, and they tried to get me to take the placement test, and I got around it somehow. I'm not
Probably because you
100%
had your
sure.
AA.
Most likely, but sometimes when you go in to talk to people, they'll be like, well, yeah, no, this is it. This is like the only thing that you can do, and then if you go and talk to someone else,
Yes.
then it's a completely different story. So sometimes it's good to go talk to multiple people and
So
don't
just keep asking.
just keep asking.
Until you get the answer you
Don't
want.
take, yeah. But those placement tests are really not, I mean, they're not anything to stress about, and even if you don't place into what you want to place into, it's really not a big deal.
And you can retake them. Every
Yeah.
school has a policy, like every 6 months or whenever they decide. I worked at COC while I was attending school there in the placement center. You can take it as many times as you want. They have, I think, a 6 months waiting period. But you just keep taking it until you get the placement you want, as long as you don't take that class. So if you place an English 80 or whatever, and you're like, oh, I can do better in 6 months if I study, you cannot take English 80 and then try to retest, because once you've taken one class, you're stuck. So keep that in mind too.
And isn't it different though for concurrently enrolled high school students as opposed to
I
academic
believe
students?
their testing is
They
different,
can
yeah.
only take it a certain number of times in 2 years. I can't
Yes,
remember.
and they have to place at a certain
Yeah.
level to even get in.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, is that how you get to be 10 and take it? Are you taking the CHSPE, or are you just taking it? How are you getting into a community college at age 10?
Good question. Actually, I was 10, so I don't really remember.
Okay, so basically you could get into any of the community colleges if you take a certain IQ test that they have from K through 8th grade. You can get in any time, you can take the test. They didn't take the test because I said, basically my school, we don't offer this, high-level video editing software course at my school. So, I'm applying and you have to see a special panel if you go in anything below 9th grade for Mission College. So it depends which college you're going to. At CUC now, that would be all the way up through 10th grade. But for Mission, it's up to the beginning of high school. Anything below that, you have to go through a special approval committee. Once you're in 9th grade, you don't have to worry about it.
So not the IQ, so what's this, is that like the
That's-
gate testing?
I don't even know what it looks like. I know some people have taken it and they've just passed it, but I don't know how
But
difficult
are
it
they
is.
taking it at their school?
At the
or
college.
taking it at
No,
the college? Oh, at the college.
Yeah, the college
Okay.
has it. You can ask them, my kid's only 10 and he wants to, attend this class. What do I need to do?
So they had him take that IQ test?
No,
But you
they
said
didn't. No,
Okay.
because it wasn't an academic class. It was a class that's like extracurricular. So I just petitioned and
Oh,
said,
okay.
we don't offer this course, and he wants to take it, and so they approved it. But they had to go through, like, he didn't actually meet with them, but they might now do that. They keep changing, but they just basically approved it based on the fact that we don't offer that course. So.
Okay.
So it just depends which class it is. But then once he was in, it was easy for him to register for other classes.
Right.
But now they've changed that, where you have to apply every year or every semester if you're in high school. They didn't used to do that when he was really young. So anyway, anything else, John, you want to add? Casey, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, I'm Casey. I graduated high school. I was homeschooled 3rd grade until high school graduation. I graduated in 2009, and I went to College of the Canyons. I was a nursing major for the first 2 years, and then I changed my major like we all do. And I became a sign language interpreting major. So I was at community college for 4 years because I did 2 years of nursing and then 2 more years of sign language. So I graduated with my AA. I was a straight A student, maybe. And now I work as a teacher's assistant for the deaf and hard of hearing at a public elementary school in Burbank. And I work on the side as a sign language interpreter.
Did you have any, do you think was it hard for you to go from being homeschooled into the college world, or?
It wasn't hard for me because I think being homeschooled, I was so used to adult interaction that I was not afraid of my professors. I would go and ask a million questions. If I didn't understand something, I wasn't afraid to go up to them and go, what does this mean? Or what's a blue book, or how to use a Scantron, because those were the kinds of things I didn't know. My mom would make up the tests and then she would grade them, so I didn't have to deal with those kinds of little nuances of college. The part that I didn't like was all the group work, but that was just a personality thing and a homeschool thing on my own, in my own time. Did not like when we had to get in groups and deal with other people that weren't as focused as I was. But so that was I think that was probably the toughest thing for me. It was just, there were other people. Yes.
So did you do dual enrollment, or you just went to college when you were after graduating?
I just went to college after I graduated high school.
Were you already 18?
Yes.
How were you homeschooled? Was it like through charter school or eclectic and you just did it on your own?
I did everything. I think every 2 years my mom switched it up on us, so we was on our toes. We did charter school, we did our own private, like under an affidavit for a while. We were under a larger private homeschool, we did it all. I did online, I did distance study through Kava, California, virtually. I did it all. That probably helped going to college.
Yeah. So in the end, who issued the diploma?
Sorry?
In the end, who issued you the diploma?
When I graduated high school, I went back to Cornerstone Christian Academy. They're a private homeschool. My
So
mom,
an umbrella kind of?
yeah, they're like
does
an
the
umbrella.
records?
Yeah.
Okay.
For my senior year, my mom transferred me back because she liked their graduation vest. So she transferred me back. She's like, I want you to be in this graduation, and that was where I got my high school. Yeah.
Are you, so you've done kind of basically 2 AAs in a sense, is that right?
Yes, I only graduated with one because I didn't. I
Okay.
did all my prereqs for nursing,
Uh-huh.
and then when I first applied for their nursing program, I didn't get in. It was under a lottery system. It still is at COC.
Right.
I didn't get in the first semester, and I ended up just completely changing the major at that point. I was like, I don't really want to be a nurse anyway. I like sign language better.
So are you still going to school, or are you
No,
where
I'm
you want to be?
I'm where I want to be for now. I'm on the fence about going back. I'm married. My husband's going back to school right now, so we're doing one at a time.
Yeah.
It's his turn first. And I don't really want to go back right now anyway. I'm good.
Would you say you enjoyed homeschooling, or would you ever think, oh, I wish I didn't homeschool?
Oh, I loved homeschooling. I would never. When I was in high school, my mom gave me the option. When I was elementary and junior high, my mom was like, you're going to be homeschooled. That's the decision we made as a family. When I was in high school, my mom said, do you want to go back to public school? And I had a lot of friends who were in public school, and I was like, I know what they deal with, I don't want to deal with that. And so I chose to stay homeschooled because I enjoyed it.
Okay. Hi, I'm Savannah. So I was homeschooled since I was in kindergarten, so I've never gone to public school except for preschool. I graduated with my AA when I was 19, or my 19 was my 19th birthday, day of graduation. I changed my major, I want to say 3 times while I was at COC. That's where I did all of my high school. I got my credits and I graduated with my business AS. Right now I work here at Learning on the Book, and I'm getting my bachelor's degree at the moment. So I don't know, I enjoyed being homeschooled. It was a good experience. I agree with what she said about going into class, like having interacted with so many ages when I was homeschooling. It definitely helped, especially with the, like Johnny said, the fact that everyone is twice your age pretty much in those classes. A lot of people thought that I was older than I was because A, I looked older, and B, I acted older. So that's always, if you're more mature, like when you go into the class, like most of the people won't even know that you're younger than them, or you're homeschooled. So I had a good experience at COC. I didn't take very many classes with my friends. I went and I was independent, and I did, I did take classes with my friends, but it really does depend on the student, I feel like. But yeah, I had a good experience at COC, and I think definitely there's a lot of resources at community colleges that you can utilize. There's tutoring centers, so if you're worried about the test, you can go in there, and those are always an option. Yeah. So, questions? Yes.
Where are you getting your bachelor's now?
Right now,
In what?
I'm still in business management right now, and I'm doing an online program. I felt like for me, I wanted to go that route just because I felt like getting a four-year degree at a four-year university wasn't the right fit for me, financially wise, and the number of credits that I needed when at that age. I didn't want to be at COC for another 2 years just getting these certain credits that I needed to transfer. So that is an option. I had my AS when I was 19 in this school. I was able to transfer all of my credits over, and then I only had the major classes that I needed because they took all of those credits that I got, and I didn't have to stay at COC for another 2 years.
Did you start the CLC classes when you were starting high school, and was it a certain program that you went through that does the diploma and the AA or AS at the same time?
Yes. So when I was going to CLC, they hadn't changed the rule about you have to be in, was it 10th grade now? Oh, just being in 11th grade. So I started CLC when I was 14. I went to a private charter school, and basically what they did is they signed my papers at COC saying that they're the principal, they're allowing me to take these classes. I would take an English class, and it would count for a whole year of high school. Only a semester of this college class would count as a whole year of high school. So I did that, and I actually graduated high school a year early because I was taking all of my classes at COC. All of them. So I think there are still charter schools that offer that.
It's not charter school, it's an independent study program, but
Sorry.
EIE.
It's EIE, it's in the Valley. And I think there are, and it sounds similar to the place that you got your diploma from. So it's similar. And they'll sign your paper that says whether or not you can go to school and they'll sign it.
Because charter schools, Mom might speak to this, but charter schools won't usually do that, though. They'll let you take a couple while you're getting your diploma because it's not a charter school. Right.
It's a
Independent
So
study.
it's an
independent study.
Okay. You
And
have to
so-
kind of go that route to do that.
Yes, you would need to do that.
You can still take the classes when they're, without the charter, but you're right, they do.
But
they
you
do
still have to take some from the
Some
charter.
limit though.
You don't
Some
take them
limit.
from the charter necessarily, but they limit how many, sometimes
Right,
they'll
right.
tell you, you can only take 6 units.
But
Okay.
not all of them.
But not- yeah,
Just
not
some
all.
of them.
But the independent one, it was more up to me what she took and didn't take.
What does EIE stand for?
Excellence in Education. And then they have an academy, but they just call it EIE.
Okay.
So you just started COC taking classes for high school, and then you graduated along the way, and then you just kept taking to get your AS or AA.
Yes, that is what I did. Actually, my first class was volleyball because I was like kind of, I had a little trepidation about starting classes, and so I took volleyball, and it was fun, and it kind of like got me into interacting with people that were older than I was, and then after that, so then I started taking more classes, and then so then I graduated college, and high school, and all that fun stuff.
When you got to like the writing or the math class, or even like social science or something like that, how did you feel? Like, were you always good at those things, and then you fit right in at the college level,
I
or
was
did
not.
you struggle?
I definitely went through some struggles with that stuff. I had to get a little bit of tutoring, especially in the writing. But that was just me. I didn't have that skill when I first went into college, and it did freak me out a little bit at the beginning. But my mom helped me a lot to get the academic, practice that I needed and then after that, I went through all my classes, and I got really good grades, and I worked really hard, and I hated math. I absolutely hated it. It was the worst thing in the world for me, and I felt like I couldn't do math, and I didn't want to do math, and it was just terrible. But again, I got some tutoring, and I actually was able to graduate. Again, this was a long time ago. I was able to graduate without having to do hardly any math at all. I took business math, and I got my degree. And so there are ways of getting around having to take a ton of classes. There are some classes that you can take that will count for, there'll be, so when you're looking at transferring or graduating, you have to get specific things done in the English and the social science, and there's a whole at the college, you can go and look and have all the information. So there's some classes that count for two different.
Yeah, I'll talk about it. That's what
Or is that what you're gonna talk about? All right. So, all right, I don't have to get into the specifics because I can't remember that. But yeah, so I mean, again, like I was definitely scared, and it turned out fine in the end. Again, the teachers are great. They, especially if you look them up first, and you know, that's like seriously, that's like definitely look them up first because those websites are the Rate My Professor, it's pretty accurate. So yeah.
I feel just really old.
Okay. I was homeschooled through after 6th grade, so through junior high, most of high school. I went back to public school and high school for like a year and a half because I thought I was missing the social scene. I just wanted to go to dances. I don't know. Who's missing? So I did that for a year, but then I ended up going back to homeschool and I graduated. And I took a lot of classes at COC my last year and a half of high school. So I went into college with a lot of credits. And then I ended up going to Cal Poly Pomona. And I graduated from Cal Poly Pomona. And then I started my own business for a while. I ran my own business, then I had kids, and now I'm just a stay-at-home mom. But I was so long ago. I can't speak to specifics of what's going on at COC now. I graduated high school in 2000. I graduated college in 2004. So it's been a while.
Also, that's easy for you to go into COC.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't even really think about it. I guess I was 16 when I started taking classes at COC, and I didn't feel like I was off at all. I was really little and really short, and I looked really young at the time, so I probably stuck out. But it didn't affect me. I didn't have friends from COC, and I didn't interact with the other people there. I mean, beyond school and classes, and I got along fine with them. But my friends were still from like the public schools and other places. I still had my core group of friends not when I went to COC. Yes.
Did you have any one specific reason or various reasons why you decided after going back to high school to go back to being homeschooled at the very end?
There were a lot of reasons. I only went to high school for the social aspect. I wanted to go to the dances. I mean, that was really the main thing. I liked to dance. I wanted to go to dances, and that's why I did it. And that part was fun. The classes, it was boring. I mean, I could get more done. So I would sit in class going, okay, this is what I would do. I mean, what we were doing in a week in public school, I was doing in a day easily at homeschool. So that part was boring. And I didn't know that. Sometimes going in, they would give an assignment. I didn't even realize that we had a week to do it. I would go home and do it at night. I'd show up with it, and they're like, oh, we're working on that in class today. Oh, I don't have anything to do. Like, well, maybe you can fix it or correct it. I'm like, no, I really did my best job. Because I went home and did it. Like, I remember in Spanish class, we had to make a Spanish travel brochure. And they told us that how we're supposed to do it. So you pick like a Spanish-speaking country, and you had to do it all in Spanish, and draw pictures, and it was like a brochure. So I went home, did it on the computer with the brochure program, printed out a glossy, like, professional, this is my brochure. I did all in Spanish, all typed up. They gave us construction paper and crayons, and you're supposed to work on it in class. Like, I have nothing to do. I can't add to it. I mean, it's a printed out thing. I'm not going to glue on construction paper and crayons now. It's too late. So I had nothing to do. It was embarrassing a little bit in public school because I sat there and I did my math homework for my other classes. So I ended up continuing being ahead in other things. And they tried to stop me from, they said, well, you can't do work for other classes in your Spanish class. I don't know what else. Then give me something to do. So that was, the classwork was boring. The social aspect was fun for a little while, but then I got tired of that. And then the final nail in the coffin was when I was my second year there, my 11th grade year. They instituted a policy that if you missed 14 days out of the semester, you were automatically failed and dropped out of that class. There was no way I was not going to miss 14 days. I showed horses very competitively,
and traveled a lot for that. It was impossible for me not to miss. At least, I mean, it was way over. And it didn't matter if they were excused absences, it didn't matter what your reason was. If you missed 14 days of a class, you failed. It didn't matter that I had an A in the class to begin with, none of that mattered. So that was kind of the final, well, this isn't going to work for me at all. And so that was the definite finish of that. Yes.
What was your first college class that you took?
I'm trying to remember. I think it was a math class. I think it was trigonometry, because I think I had gone through the math that was available and that my mom was able to help me. I mean, I far surpassed her abilities. And what was available through I did homeschool. They didn't have charters back then. I guess it was considered an independent study, distance learning type of thing. I don't know what the terminology was back then, because it was different. And they didn't offer anything beyond Algebra 2. So I went through Algebra 2, I still wanted to do more math, there wasn't anything for me to do. So I had to go and take the trigonometry. And so I think I did the placement test, I don't remember, and I was good at that, and so it was an easy one for me.
What was your degree?
Animal science.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did you do anything with it?
I ran a dog-related business. I ran a dog daycare, grooming, and training business. I thought I was going to want to be a vet, but I didn't for many reasons.
I'm assuming you're homeschooling your kids now?
I'm trying to. My oldest is about to turn 5, so he would turn into kindergarten this fall. I would love to homeschool him, and I'm really, really pushing it, but my husband is a difficult one to convince. So I think where we're at now is I've started in some classes here, and I've kind of homeschooled him off the record up to this point. My husband wants him enrolled in kindergarten, and so I will most likely have to do that. I'm hoping that I have planted the seed that he will not like public school, or there will be a reason to want to go back to doing things the way we have been doing it, and then my husband will submit to that. But he had a good public school experience, and he doesn't want his kids to miss out on that. So that he wants to start with homeschool, and then if there's any reason to go to homeschool, we'll go to that. So I'm hoping I have a reason.
Is your oldest a boy?
It's so cute and so smart. I told her he's gonna be so bored.
I was gonna say, if it's a boy, it might be easier.
Oh yeah, he is really advanced. For his age, I don't know how he's gonna be.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I hope he hates public school.